All right, everybody. I'm just going to fire off an invite over to Bobby. Then we will be off to the races. Okay. Just 1 sec. Sent. And then we'll text him as well. See if he could beat my text. All right, everybody. We got all kinds of stuff going on. We got baseball. We got basketball. I already started my homework for the MMA for this coming weekend. For those of you who were following that, we had my fifth. It was 100 people. It's now down to 50. So I got this next round is another kind of a cash game build. So 50 becomes 25 after this. So we got to focus on that. So I did. I was able, hopefully, to hold down the fort while Bobby was out doing stuff today, with respect to getting you at least some preview of the slate leading into tonight. Videos are a little bit shorter, a little more top down, I think, and a little less game by game. But we'll hopefully you guys got something out of it. The again, I did promise myself that I was going to really try to focus in on process a little bit more as we moved along, and I just basically went through my process in the videos earlier today of how I analyze these things. Now we have kind of updated projections and updated news, sort of, and then we're going to see how everything changes. So I guess the first thing I'm going to do is actually I'm going to pull up the. Hey, oh, there's somebody. There's Bobby. So yeah, I was just telling everybody that I'm just going to pull up the baseball, and we'll do baseball first, and then. Then we'll do basketball. And I did kind of shorter videos. It was a little different. It's kind of like top down slate view, and I did get to game by game, but really quickly game by game. It was just more overall slate stuff. Each video was only like 20 minutes. Hope people got something out of it. Yeah, that's it. You got your shit taken care of today?
I mean, yeah, somewhat. I mean, it's stuff. It's life. Okay. But it's going good. Yeah, so slate, it's a pretty big baseball slate. It's a lot you can do here. There's 5 stacks that I'm deciding between, which I'll probably use 2 of and then use many parts of the other ones.
I need your help. I need your help, man, because I am, I did everything without looking at any content, without looking at everything, and I'm looking at what I got. And dude, I'm just kind of living in freaking Chalk City, USA right now. I need your help. I need one of your Rich Hill 2% own guys like from yesterday. I need something to differentiate myself a little bit because I'm just so jammed in with the freaking Yankees and the chalk pitchers. I don't know how I'm going to win. So I do need some help with respect to alternative stacks to play.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, just in terms of my favorites, I'll start with that. And this is not in order, but Yankees, Dodgers, Padres, White Sox, and Yankees, Dodgers, Padres, White Sox, and who's my other one? Pieces of Miami, and that's mostly where I'm at. I don't think that you should worry crazily about ownership with the Padres, for example, which I'm using. I think that you've got Tatis, who's going to be popular. Fair enough. I'll play him I'll play him on FanDuel where I also play Seager in the same lineup to try and do something a little bit, double play the shortstops. I'm skipping the Braves, even though it scares me. And I'm skipping the Nationals a little, even though I think that their run totals is too low. So if I was betting an over-under on their run total, I would bet over. I'm a little confused by Philadelphia's run total, why it's so low. Carlos Martinez has looked really, 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 really bad, even though he did bounce back in the last game. after I believe it was a rough start. But yeah, the strikeout stuff hasn't been there. This is a team that if they don't strike out, the weather looks good. It just feels like a spot where you could stack them. I'm just not playing enough lineups to where I'm getting to that. And with the Yankees, just the way that you can do it differently to get, maybe a little lower ownership on what is going to be chalky. Torres is going to be popular on FanDuel. He won't be as popular on DraftKings. Clint Frazier won't be that popular on DraftKings. Rougned Odor will be unowned basically after being 500% owned yesterday. So those are things you could do to get different with your Yankees stacks. With the Padres, again, it's really just going to be Tatis, I think, who eats up most of the DraftKings ownership. So I'm not as worried about that. I do really like the Padres. I also really like the Dodgers. I think this is the best matchup the Dodgers have had in a while. Weather's a little bit better for hitting. Still a little cooler than you'd want, but it's about to get real warm here. But the Dodgers, you can play. I don't think the Dodgers are going to be popular at all on DraftKings. Mookie might be owned a little bit, but I don't think Seager will be. I don't think Muncy will be, who are my favorites, Seager and Muncy. And then Luke Raley, assuming that he's in the lineup anywhere, I will be happily play him as well as Gavin Lux, who should also be unowned.
I'd like to add one to your list of stacks, maybe. You have Kevin Kiermaier is leading off at like near min cost for Tampa. And then you could just start off with him and Lau, and you can play Meadows and whatever, and you could just be in Cheapo City over there with I don't know. I have a feeling that could be pretty popular actually.
Yeah, I have no interest in the Tampa Bay side of things tonight. Personally.
Okay.
Too big of a slate. Bad hitters park. I have enough respect for Montas to at least at times be okay. Not a ton, other than Miller. Other than the two other big lefties. I'm not really afraid. I mean, Kiermaier has, like I say, it's crazy. I say he has zero power because in the World Series, what did he get? 3 home runs against us? At least I watched 2 of them. I think maybe one was in the NLCS, but I think Hernandez is a better play than Kiermaier is the top. But I think Kiermaier is fine. And I mean, they're minimum cost guys, but I would rather just play the unowned Luke Raley for the Dodgers. And hope he gets in the lineup. And the fact that they don't have lineup out, which is, I mean, if anybody's wondering if they're going to be owned anyway, they're certainly not going to be. But that'll make them even lower owned, obviously.
What are you doing pitching wise on DraftKings?
On DraftKings, I am using a combination of Giolito, Scherzer, Montas, and right now Jose Quintana.
Yeah, right now I'm on Giolito and Quintana. Those are that's my pairing right now, and I'm looking to differentiate a little bit. I didn't get to Scherzer, and it's obviously it's scary, right? Montas, I heard it, I understand it. I don't know if I'm going to do it. Certainly is on my list. What is about you like Christian Javier at all?
I'm not doing it. I would rather find money for Giolito or Buehler. I understand it. He's got good stuff. It's a bad team he's facing. He's been really, really good. I just want to point out though that like in his really, really goodness sheets, it's sort of like the guys we talk about. So he threw 98 pitches in his last start, which makes people feel good. But you realize he only got through 5 innings while giving up only 3 hits with 1 walk, and yet he still threw 98 pitches. So any room for error at all on that, maybe he doesn't even get through 5. Like maybe they stay patient. Maybe he walks 3 or 4 guys. He does get wild around the zone, even though he's had good control in terms of how many people he's walked. He's been in a lot of deep counts all season long. So I do think he has a lot of upside. I'm just skipping it personally because I'm not playing enough to get there, and I like the other guys.
Before we look at questions a little bit, what are you doing on FanDuel? What's different? I mean, where are you using more than Giolito on FanDuel?
On FanDuel, I'm actually using Buehler. I actually think Buehler should be in play on both sides personally, but I do like him on FanDuel, and I think you get a little bit of a discount. He just sort of fit into what I wanted to build mostly over there, so I'm using him over there. I don't know whether I know what else to say about it. But.
So, and what about any difference in stacks on FanDuel, I suppose? And I'll do the same thing. I'm just
Yankees are super easy to get to, so I assume a lot of people are going to do that. So just make sure you get a little bit different elsewhere. Like Gleyber is really cheap over here. I mean, he's been terrible. He just doesn't hit a home run yet, and it's definitely affecting him. But this guy, anybody who knows the Yankees historically knows that Gleyber is like the greatest Oriole killer. And not to say that things don't matter, but that is the Yankees. I mean, what do they call it? Yeah, Yankee South or whatever, or Easter, or whatever you call it. But they hit like crazy there against Baltimore. Usually, I know it's been ugly, and I understand perfectly if everybody just wants to cross them off and not want to do it. I am not going to play that game. But I totally understand that that's the route you guys want to go, because I am tired of recommending a team that's been awful. But one thing you could do to get different with that stack is play our man Higgy, who's probably the only one we should play him on FanDuel, which no one's going to do, I don't think. So I think that's one way you can get a little bit different.
So here's where I'm at. On DraftKings right now, as I mentioned, I just have Giolito and Quintana right now. I'm just able to get the Yankees just too easily with that.
Right.
And that'll be my main build, and then I'm gonna try to randomize and try to just get a little different somehow with some of these other stacks or some of these other pitchers. I don't know exactly what yet, but with FanDuel, I have two different ideas, two different builds. I'm gonna have one is I'm gonna play Giolito, and the other one is I'm actually, and again, this is someone's got to, like they said in poker, someone's got to take my mouse away from me. I'm playing a lot. I'm playing one build with Quintana at on FanDuel. Even though again, I know what you're gonna say, but I get like the whole like home run derby like MVP of the major leagues in my lineup. Yeah.
I'm not gonna say anything. I think this is a slate where one of the top guys probably does get there, but I have no problem with that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna so if you look at what I got here, I mean, this is like literally like the home run derby of like baseball almost, along with Quintana. So I'm keeping this, and then I'm gonna do a totally other build with Giolito. And the good thing about I think if you use Giolito, it is a little harder to get the Yankees in, along with anybody good. So you have to.
Well, the Yankees are pretty easy. I mean, you've got Frazier at 2,100 and 2,500.
Sure. I mean,
2,500 for Gleyber. I mean, you can, but my point is, though, that stack integrity, as we talked about before, matters a little bit more on FanDuel. So that's just where I'm at personally. I mean, but again, I would love to, I'll take a look in chat and see if there's any questions or thoughts. You guys, I would love to hear what you guys think.
I'm going to look at that too.
To give us the thumbs up, the like, and all that stuff. Sanchez will get at least 20, 25 pitches, even with a low pitch count. I actually don't mind that idea, man, on DraftKings. I think Quintana has more upside. I mean, I guess he just proved it against this team, so we don't really need to over question it that he's solid. I mean, even that game could have gone a little better for him, but he did have the 8 Ks in 6 innings. And again, so that can sometimes be a negative, but I am not in general afraid of the Texas lineup. Although I just want to say one thing: every time I'm debating someone between Nate Lowe, and somebody else, which happens to me like every day, I never pick Nate Lowe. And I think I'm just tired of that. So if I'm not playing Quintana, you run into that issue. Because every time I look up in the first inning, boom, home run, Nate Lowe. Like every single time, I swear. But that's just trying to be funny. I'm obviously not, I don't play DFS like that. But Jamie's got some questions about her favorite one-offs on DK. So I guess it would really depend on the construction because, we're talking about value, some value plays. I mentioned Raley as a pivot off of the other cheap Kiermaier and Hernandez, who I both like. But I believe in Raley, and if he makes the Dodger lineup, he fits in better with my stacks or mini stack. So that's value. Cole Calhoun for value. I think if you're playing a bunch of lineups, I just want to reiterate this, I guess, but I think you want to get some White Sox stacks in.
The other stack, which I was going to mention, I forgot, and thankfully, Butt Bongo brought it up. I want, and again, I've been following this guy for like a year now, right? I'm telling you, like Garrett Richards is like really bad right now, and I mean like scary bad.
And you're the Garrett Richards whisperer, whatever we call you.
And the Mets are going to just obliterate him. I mean, this is something you can do. And then if you get through him like you're probably supposed to, like they had talks when Garrett Richards was supposed to make a start, they deliberately scratched his first start to give him an easier matchup against Baltimore. That's what they said. They said they're hoping that even in this game, they let him pitch in New York in National League Park instead of in Boston,
right? Against the League. You know what I mean? So I hear you.
So what I was going to say is that so they tried to get him close to the easier start in Baltimore, and he didn't even get out of the third inning there. I don't think. So all these lefties, they're going to mash him. So I'm definitely going to play that.
I am a huge fan of what you're saying. I think it's really weird when no one stacks a team with basically the same run total, or, it's funny because I didn't come across them initially, but you're making really good points. If this game was in Boston, I know I would have come across them, which is what kind of annoys me. It's just an old habit I get into on big slates of trying to really, because the thing is, you want to be open to all these stacks going off, but we can't play 12 stacks. We have to make some decisions at some point. So for me, I would rather go usually with the teams that I expect to score more runs, and if Vegas agrees, usually that's positive. But the weird part of the Mets is this is, it looks like pretty good hitting conditions. You got a high run total against a guy who, like you said, has been absolutely terrible. No ownership anywhere, affordable prices. I mean, it adds up. Look, like Lindor, what makes him so much worse? I mean, look, he's not, my favorite between the three of the big guys today. But today, you could argue that he, along with Tatis, are like right there, and he's going to have like no ownership. So I'm a huge fan of making the Met stacks. In fact, I may even get one before I get off this show, because I do see what you're saying, and I think that there's some big combustibility there. I also think that there's just, look, Merrill Kelly can live however, get away with whatever and get lucky all the time and all this stuff. I'm just going to always bet against him, especially with a team like the Padres here, who I freaking love. And I think that I think they're going to be just another just really low owned team. And I sort of love this spot for the whole Padres lineup.
Who do you like at catcher today?
At catcher, I like Higgy. And then I'm using him in stacks. It's Higgy, Will Smith, and Grandal as my main catchers, but they're all stack related on DraftKings. And I would actually include all those guys on FanDuel too, because we know catchers are low owned, and Higgy, maybe you could argue it's reaching, but it fits in with the stack we want, so maybe it's not. But it's also like, I don't care that he's batting eighth. Why am I going to let that affect? I understand you get less at bats if you bat later in the lineup, one less at bat potentially. It doesn't have to end that way, but I'm not going to be afraid of it. And same thing with, no one's going to pay 5,100 for Grandal batting sixth. I'll take that shot. I'll stack the White Sox against Urena here, and again in a terrible bullpen. That seems like a good spot to me too. So all those things make a lot of sense. I was originally going to do something really weird. One of the first things I was going to do is, I like Ian Anderson as a pitcher. The Cubs look better to me at the plate in general a little bit lately, and they put out a lineup that I'm not going to stack. But if they had put out a different lineup, I would have absolutely been considering stacking the Cubs. And I actually think that as one-offs go, if you want value, I don't mind taking shots against Anderson. You have Bodie at batting third at 2.7, second base and third base. You have Horner leading off at 2.5. You have Matt Duffy at 2.3 batting fifth. I mean, they're all, Anthony Rizzo's 3,900. It's just not the most beautiful lineup in the world, and maybe that's just because I'm a little biased towards Baez in general, and I wish we had I wish they still had a little more power in the outfield. But I did sort of think about them. I just wanted to throw that last one out there because I think that Anderson, as good as he is, if he gets a little wild, I could see the Cubs giving him a little bit of trouble. But this is not the lineup that's going to give him the trouble, I don't think.
Okay.
Oh, and Tyrone Taylor, another value guy I forgot to mention. Little worrisome with Tyrone Taylor. Just, I actually have him in my current big FanDuel lineup. Oh no, I didn't. I switched over to Frazier because I have a 3-man Yankee stack, and I'd rather do that. But I do think that Tyrone Taylor is a really good play at 2,200 and 2,400 on DraftKings.
Okay, so I forced in the Mets stuff, and now I'm just going to build a little bit.
I like K9 Broncos asked a question about any Philly love. I'll tell you the truth, K9 Bronco, on this one. This is a tough one for me because I think that I was a big fan of the last time out trying to old school. I always loved Carlos Martinez. He's been a part of more winning lineups of mine as a pitcher, probably. Some of them were a long time ago. 3 of them happened in one season. It was nice. But Carlos Martinez is not the same guy, and but the weird part is I can see an argument almost for using him as an SP2 as a long shot play. And I totally agree that the Philly stack makes sense. What I can't figure out is why their run total is 4.25. What am I missing here with the Phillies stack why they don't have a higher run total against Martinez in great hitting weather.
It's a good question. That's a good question.
Too. Like you got Brad Miller, you got red hot Bryce Harper. I mean, are we doing the because they just came from Coors and had a rough night after coming from Coors thing? It does happen, you know, but then again, they already had the rough night. Maybe they got it out of the way. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think the Phillies make a lot of sense. So look, I'm not stacking the Phillies, but I completely support anyone who's doing it. It's just there's like 12 stacks that I could find that I think make a lot of sense on this slate. Jamie, no problem. Hopefully the value answered your question. If there's any other spots, go ahead and ask me. Hoskins is red hot. Harper was obviously red hot in that other series. Yeah, so I completely can get behind the Philly thing. I love Muncy so much today as a one-off. Like, I don't know why Muncy – well, the worst thing about Muncy for GPPs in general is the guy walks – he walked 5 times the game before last in the game. He was 1 for 1 – or was he 0 for 1 with 5 walks? He was 0 for – yeah, no, he was 0 for 1 with 5 walks. He walks so much. He has such a good eye. If anybody can put any pressure on him, why he tends to work better in stacks is that he is better with runners on base. Obviously, there's more of a chance for him to drive people in. You obviously can't walk guys as much when there's runners on base, et cetera, et cetera. But Muncy, in terms of like a guy who's just sort of being overlooked right now, and because he's been a little bit cold for 5 games or 8 games now, I guess it is a little cold. He was like the hottest guy in baseball to start the season. So I love Muncy as a one-off. I love his price. And it's not just because I'm a Dodger homer. As you can remember, Sheets, I have not been recommending stacking the Dodgers. And today is the day where I'm going to break that.
You don't have to talk me into it.
All right. Sorry, I just wanted to spout through my baseball stuff as quickly as I could because I'm not playing NBA, so I'm happy to answer questions for you guys. I'm doing a 2-day no NBA. I just can't do it right now. But I'm ready for it. I'm just like staying in touch and getting ready for tomorrow. And it's a good thing I didn't play NBA yesterday because I would have gotten I think I would have ended up with a lot of, I mean, obviously I would have had, I did play one lineup. I cashed even, but I would have had Westbrook in that game. But it would have been like hard to tilt. He had negative ½ point in overtime. That would have been a little frustrating.
I joked about this on Twitter, but I ended up after I was so excited with my ownership. I had 95% of Svi Mahujelik, and he scored less fantasy points than everybody in my hockey lineup.
Oh, that's funny. K9 Bronco asked my favorite place in the Dodgers stack. Yeah, he was terrible. It's Seager, Muncy. I mean, it's the obvious guys. Seager, Muncy, Betts would be my favorites, but I love Rayleigh, Lux for value, and Will Smith.
That looks pretty good. Okay, so now let me look at the FanDuel.
Well, just be ready to switch if you do play Will Smith because there's always an outside chance that you get the Austin Barnes moment.
FanDuel. Yeah, my top owned players, by the way, on DraftKings, well, except for Giolito, is I have my highest ownership is Stanton, and then next is actually Gio Urshela.
Yeah, I mean I think that's the chalk, and I think that makes sense.
Yeah,
I have that in my main Yankees builds, but I'm doing it with I think LeMahieu is going to be the guy who gets left out the most today.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to do is also, I mean, look, some of this stuff sounds like overthinking. It'll come in more handy on 5-game slates or 3-game slates and things like that. But playing him in the same lineup as Muncy because they're both first base and second base eligible, you don't necessarily need to go this far on this slate, but it's just little ways you can differentiate going forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So let's see if I can't build this kind of right now. All right. So let's build my whatchamacallit lineup now. My Giolito lineup. Let me just first make sure that I want to play Giolito on the FanDuel. Just double checking. I just want to hide this. Yeah, Giolito is my favorite pitcher. And then with respect to my favorite stacks, let me just look at ownership again real quick. Yeah, it's still the Yankees are my favorite, but then like I'm between Atlanta, San Diego. I guess San Diego would be the best combination of. Boy, I get very little ownership here for Washington.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Trent Thornton is not as bad as people think.
No, he never is.
So just to keep that in mind. But the only thing is, but at the same time, I don't know if the bullpen's any good. I still think that's a better hitter's park than statistically is shown yet, even though it actually does rate to be decent. Sorry, I just got a message about my grandfather, which is good. Good message.
Oh, there it is.
It's good to know. But yeah, I'm in the middle of building my Mets lineup here. I'm trying to see if I can do it with the Dodgers and Yankees as a 4-2-2 or something. Maybe a 5 for the Mets. Maybe they need a 5-man.
So we did Trey, MVP Bell, and then Castro.
Bell, Castro.
Okay. So now I got 4K a man that I can use. So I can do, I don't say whatever I want, but I can't exactly get the Yankees in though. I don't think.
You know what? Maybe that's not the worst thing in the world.
No, it's not. So,
so
and what I might be able to do is get the Padres in. Well, no, maybe not because I'm going to need Tatis and Machado. I think it might work actually. So we play Tatis. We'll put Tatis over here. Oh, easily. And then just in case I wanted to do it this way, I can even do better than this. But okay. So if I used Tatis, Myers, Machado, you like Grisham better than all these turkeys? Probably.
I'm using where in my Padres stacks, I actually ended up skipping Grisham because I mostly use the Padres on FanDuel.
Oh, okay.
But I totally love Grisham anytime. And he's a great matchup for him. I mean, he's a great play. He's a better play than I would rather play him. I think even than potentially even Machado.
You know what's always a good feeling, by the way, when you have exactly like enough money left in FanDuel where you could just play Mike Trout.
Oh, that's always nice. Yeah, never mind that.
It's always a good feeling. So let's do that. Okay.
The highly volatile pitcher. That's another stack that I'm not doing, but I
didn't even see what's his name. Sneaky came back. Rendon. I didn't even notice that.
Wait. Rendon. Oh no, the lineup is so much better.
Yeah, but less. But then pitchers have to actually work a little. Rendon's a big taker, isn't he?
What do you mean? Because he's a great all-around hitter.
Oh, I know, but he makes you work.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that lineup gets tough without him in there. Yeah, I kind of like this Mets idea, man. If I win the $88, I'm giving you some credit.
Oh wait, this was this. So I used all these guys, but I forgot to use freaking Giolito. There's another one with Quintana. Look what I did.
Yeah.
So wait a minute.
They have one off under 3.4K on FanDuel relating to baseball. I'm going to answer that one really quick because it'd be impossible in basketball because they're all 3,500. 3,400 one off. I mentioned I like Machado. I guess that at first glance I would say Machado. But let me double check that. I don't know how I like somebody better.
So let's do this one again.
Yeah, I think it's Machado for me, but I'm very biased towards the Padres tonight. So that's my answer for that one. Alex Avila, good to play. Look, if you're going to play a stack and you want a cheap catch, I mean, I don't know if Alex Avila can do anything anymore except for catch Scherzer, apparently, because that's Scherzer always wants him. Sure. I mean, where is his price right now? Is he even catch? I didn't even know I don't have him. Oh, he's 331. I would rather play as a one-off around him if I had to do it. I would rather play either Chance Sisco or Higashikawa. Are we one thing that happened last time he pitched, even though he ended up messing up in the fifth inning and it sort of came back to look not so good, although he wasn't striking anybody out. Kluber at least looked a little bit more like himself for the first 4 innings against Atlanta the other day. I'm not going to play him. I'm just saying, if you have a real chalky stack and you're finding yourself wanting a low-owned guy who has upside against this Baltimore offense, I think that it's not the worst. It's not what I'm doing much of, but it's not the worst. And by the way, it's very easy to get a Mets stack in with Scherzer and Giolito. And Scherzer this is one of the rare times Scherzer's not my favorite player on a slate that he's pitching, and I don't really have a great excuse why, except for that he's pitching in the American League against a pretty good offense, and he's significantly more expensive, especially on FanDuel. But I think you could still find a way to get him in. BBF says that he hopes the bottom of the Yankees outperform the top half. Look, with the way the top half has been performing, that shouldn't be all that difficult. So let's go, bottom half. I'm with you, BBF. The only guy I am using, who actually I thought has taken some good cuts lately, but still looks, hasn't had a lot to show for it. I've watched a lot of Yankees because it's happening. But he had 2 hits yesterday. Had a home run the day before with Urshela, but he's going to be super chalky. I mean, if you're playing cash and you're not playing Urshela, probably shouldn't be playing cash. Good value stack. Yeah, well, the Mets are one you can do. Other than Alonso, that's reasonable. The real value is, we mentioned it. We hit on it before. Value stack. I'm assuming you mean DraftKings. So let me know if that's the case. But my value stack would be, well, it's not a stack, but I think the Cubs are just so cheap that I would take some shots there. There's so many value plays that I don't feel that I needed to find a value stack, but maybe I'm missing one obvious one. I feel like the Mets are affordable. I have the Mets with Giolito and Scherzer, so obviously that's the way I'm leaning a little bit. And by the way, Buehler is going to be Buehler's lower owned than these guys. It's a great matchup for him against Cincinnati. Look, everybody was afraid to play him last time against San Diego, and he put up 1 million freaking points. He's the most talented pitcher on the slate, along with Giolito and Scherzer. He's just maybe you could argue he's just behind Scherzer and Giolito, but I think it's close. Definitely Scherzer, but I think it's close between he and Giolito in terms of talent. And people say, oh, you get worried about him because he's got, look at all this stuff he does and, the Dodgers and all this stuff. And I'm like, the guy has pitched 6, and 7 innings, including games at Colorado, against Washington, and twice against San Diego. These are tough matchups. This is not a tough matchup.
All right, so we're gonna.
So DK, so hopefully that helps Tony A with the DK stacking question. I just think there's a lot of good values that I mentioned. There's so many guys in the 2Ks. By the way, the Dodgers are actually, depending on how you stack them, and by the way, we don't know how the lineup ends up. Lux or Raley batted 6th last night. Lux or Raley could be near the top of the lineup tonight. You don't even know,
Yeah.
So there's some edge in if we don't have the lineup before lock to potentially play that even more. But the truth is, no one's playing the Dodgers today anyway, and it's against Jeff Hoffman. I just want to remind everybody, Jeff Hoffman is pitching against the Dodgers, and no one's playing them.
I don't think Hoffman's that bad, though, is he?
I don't think he's anything. I don't know. I don't know. It's to be a righty against the Dodgers and to be taken seriously is always going to be hard for me. But, I never thought anything of him. I'm just going to take a quick look at his BBP stats because we have had some experience here. All right, let's see what we've got. And then we can jump over to the lunacy that is the NBA.
Yeah, just one sec with that.
Not that much experience with him. Betts is 2 for 2 with 2 home runs against him. That's pretty good. They're hitting 330 off of him, but it's only been 38 at bats. So.
Yeah, I think I'm good with the MLB. I think.
I feel pretty good about it too, actually. I always feel good about it. Then I look at my lineups later and I'm like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, so I got half of. That's pretty good. So I do have one Buehler on FanDuel. Okay, all right, looks good. All right. So NBA. Anybody any news that came out in the last like 10 minutes or no?
I haven't got anything new. I've got my thing updated here, but no, I don't have anything new.
I think I might end up. See what I talked about in my video earlier, Bobby, was that Boston guys are projecting to be like such great values and stuff, but they're going to be really chalky, and it's the one environment tonight that's like really fishy. You know, they're a freaking 100-point favorite, and there's all these other games. You got Portland, Indiana with like a zillion point total in a close game. You got Dallas, Golden State with a 100-point total in a 2,000-point total, close game with that. You have Minnesota, Houston, which is a pick'em game. All right. Yeah, and even mid and why am I playing the Boston chalk for maybe 3/4? So that was my original thought, and now they keep on trying to force me to play all these guys. I don't know what I want to do yet.
I like your thought. I don't know what else to tell you. Like I agree with you.
Okay.
I think that there's a huge danger that the fact that Boston is just kind of a weird team. Look, if there were, I'd be saying Jabari Parker, you would be in play on a totally different kind of slate because of how bad this.
Is he going to start? By the way,
I don't think so.
Okay.
I wouldn't imagine they'd go that far, but maybe. I mean, that would make him that would certainly make him a play. Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Sheets. Like, I think Jaylen Brown is the most obvious, probably the only piece that would really scare me to fade. But even that, like, what are you really worried about? It's a big slate, big enough slate. What you worried he's going to get 60? Because that's not very likely. Like 50 is possible, but he really has to get that to you. And even then, there's other routes,
Yeah.
And that's it off. So I kind of hear you. Like, what if he has 40 through 3 and that's it? I'm also just looking at the other side of the game to see if there's anything you can do, and I don't think you can. Maybe, I mean, you could try take a shot on Poku, I guess, but
I thought about that.
Yeah. And these minutes are going to be mixed. Why does Tony Bradley say questionable? I thought we had him as out. That's weird to me. Okay. All right, guys, we're some questions and some thoughts. NBA for DK. So for I'm not playing tonight, but that doesn't mean I'm not prepared. Favorite plays is tough. Let me just think for a second, because I think I was more looking at games that I really liked and I wanted to get pieces of, like the Portland Indy game. Really like Dame as an off the board spend up. I mean, the lower owned spend up. Obviously, you're gonna one of Sumner or Shakar or both will get there. I think maybe playing O'Shea Brissett is an interesting way to go on the other side of that. He's 5K. He's going to be a little bit less owned because of his price, but certainly has enough upside there. Nurkic also obviously in play. And then I would, if I was playing at all tonight, I think that if I was playing one lineup, I would have Kevin Durant in my lineup. I think he's going to get more minutes. We all know. I mean, look what he does in even these limited minute games. You know what I mean? Like, he put up 53 in the last one. I mean, he's 8,300. Like, he's not gonna be unowned or anything, but I do really like him. And on the Toronto side, I think that after a really rough shooting night, my natural instinct, I just think Kyle Lowry could go nuts in this matchup, and no one's gonna play him. So I would play. I'm sorry, Fred VanVleet.
That's a cool play.
I would like Fred VanVleet in some lineups tonight for sure.
I think that's a pretty cool play, actually.
Yeah, and then I mean, other Sheets mentioned the other game. D'Angelo Russell still well too cheap. They're playing to win. They've had a winning record with D'Angelo Russell. I think that it's a great matchup for him. Karl Anthony Towns as well, but I think that I would lean Russell. He's 6,300, so that's a good place to go. And then there's no reason why Jaden McDaniels is 3,600, in my opinion. I know he's a defender mostly, but he plays plenty of minutes, and I would put Jaden McDaniels ahead of a lot of this other value. I feel better about him than I do the other guys. And Yeah, I think I touched on most of it. And then, I mean, obviously the late game, you can Steph and Luka are both terrific plays, assuming, and I think they will play Luka, that means. But what happens if Luka, Kleber, Finney-Smith, and Redick all sit? Like all of a sudden the whole slate is. So that's why even using like McDaniels makes even more sense as value over a guy like Sumner, because you're going to be able to make that switch later on if you need to.
Who's by the way, looks real. I mean, this is no joke, this COVID, man. Like Fournier is just dead right now.
I know. It happened to Tatum, man. Tatum was not the same for like a month and a half.
Yeah.
Some of these guys, it has a huge impact. Look at Westbrook. They still have the mysterious injury that caused him to be like awful the first month and a half of the season and be like exceptional ever since then, like as good as anybody in the league since then. And by the way, you mentioned Fournier, even though he's it's really gross. Like he's even
he's obviously in play. I mean, we take him out.
He has to be. Plus, they'd probably want him to get his run, even if they are blowing out. So, like, maybe they would play him 26 to 28 minutes, even if it's a blowout in this spot, just to get him a little bit back, unless he really is dead and winded. Okay, let's see what we've got here. So wait, what was the question? So I guess he's talking about Kristaps. Is that what the question was? Oh wait, Kevin Porter Jr. Is that what that must have been what it was?
I like that game a lot.
Yeah, Kevin Porter Jr. is probably the best run back on the other side of that game.
He's gonna be wickedly popular on FanDuel, by the way.
I believe. Oh yeah, on FanDuel he will be. But Christian Wood is also a really good play in that game. Has looked a lot more like Christian Wood lately. I mean, that's a good game. I'm with you, Sheets. And also, you get the great leverage of what if they do something funny in Dallas and sit these guys, just in case,
I'm not going to be happy if they sit all. I'm just not going to be happy.
Look, it's not the ideal situation, but if you're playing everybody from Minnesota and Houston, and then you can switch over to guys who are literally going to get like 1,000,000% usage. And it's not like there's not bad plays. I mean, Toscano Anderson is a completely reasonable value anyway in that Golden State game,
right?
Which you could easily turn into any of the cheap guys from Dallas, whether that be Trey. If everybody was out, I'm saying Trey Burke,
right?
You have to spend a little more. Hardaway's going to be just crazy popular.
He's 3,900 with no J Rich.
It's crazy, and then you can look. I understand that it's a different situation, but he hasn't. He's 4,400 on DraftKings. And he's going to be like 50% owned or really highly owned. And he hasn't put up more than 24 fantasy points since the beginning of the month once. And he owned it once. And they've had situations where they were resting these guys before. So it's no slam dunk that he gets there. But the one thing you do get with him is that you're able to switch if those guys are out, although you probably wouldn't want to switch if Finney-Smith and Redick even are out, even if Luka plays.
And obviously Jakar Sampson's a good play.
I sort of am with you on this Boston thing. Everything, like, other than I just don't see anyone I'm going to feel like, God, that was so stupid. Why didn't I play him? And that game starts earlier than the other ones do. And if you're going to play people from the earlier games, I would take a shot in like Lillard versus, let's take Lillard just as an example versus, I know it's a different position, but he's 700 more than Jaylen Brown. Now, Jaylen Brown should outscore him on average. Is Jaylen Brown going to get to 60 as often as he does here? No.
Not today.
I don't think so. Not on most games. I mean, Jaylen Brown is awesome. I love, look, how much do I talk about how much I love Jaylen Brown? But I love him because he's always in that in-between, and he has that, 50-plus upside. And I know, look, without Tatum and all the usage and all, yeah, of course, all these things. But he's still, like, it's not like this guy takes 1,000,000 free throws every game. And that's what I look at when I want to see a guy who I feel like is hard to let you down, guys who are going to take 10 free throws because they just have too high of a floor. Jaylen Brown can shoot like 25 times and still not get 40 fantasy points. I mean, he just did 8 for 22 in the last game and then had 36 fantasy points. That's completely on the table for this game. And this game, he might even get less minutes because this could get ugly. But at the same time, we've seen OKC lose by 50 like they did yesterday. And we've seen them look like, like it can compete with anybody on a given night. Am I missing anything else with baseball? I don't think so. Guys, already Cat Love. Yes, yes, James. Absolutely, big fan of Cat tonight. But I prefer. I do think I'm playing. I would play more Russell if I was playing.
Yeah, I think he's ready to put the full minutes up. Russell.
Yeah. I like that. Bubba Fiesta says, make sure to get the JD Davis in your Mets stacks if you do. I'm with you, 100%. My only stacks with Mets are going to have JD Davis in there. So. Great pivot off of. I mean, look, actually, just as a one-off play, just if your lineup is too chalky and you've got 5 Yankees and you somehow have an extra 500 to spend, which is totally possible. JD Davis, if you can somehow get to JD Davis over Urshela, you're going to get a guy who's actually hitting the ball this year, and you're getting giant leverage on the field because the ownership is going to be pretty non-existent. Maybe I should put the Mets in my big. This is one of those where I wish I was playing a bunch of big ones and stuff because I would love to get some Mets, different variations of the Mets stacks in there. Guys, drop in any questions. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Always appreciate it, et cetera, et cetera. What else are we struggling with out here? I think my baseball is pretty set, but of course I say that, and really most of one of my main teams is I don't have a lineup yet. All season long, this is going to be the case, and it's always going to, even if the lineup they release it at 3:30 or whatever. But those teams are always going to be lower owned than they should be. It's just simple as that. They always are.
Which ones?
The West Coast teams, unless the Dodgers haven't been owned since they were in Coors. I played a slate on a 5-game slate the other night. I know it was Blake Snell on the other side, which he's already homered off of before, but I played Seager in one of my Blake Snell lineups. There was only 6 legitimate shortstops to choose from, and he was 1.2% owned on a 5-game slate.
Right.
You know. But yeah, I'm hoping this Dodger lineup shakes out the way that I think it's going to. It's weird to say it, but I actually like Rayleigh as a one-off anyway.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
I mean, again, if we don't know about Lux, Lux could end up somewhere totally different in that order than where he's been. So just keep an eye out for that. Okay, let's see if there's anything else dropped in here.
Brogdon.
Doesn't look like anything else. Everybody's building. It wouldn't be great, guys, if we just had a voice thing and we could all talk to each other. Sometimes it'd be a little easier. Some of the guys we don't need to hear from, but you guys everybody in the chat today is awesome. I think if there's any question we haven't answered or any other question, drop it in because I'm ready and I'm just sitting here waiting for the Dodgers lineup.
Yeah. You like anything from that Brooklyn game?
The Brooklyn one? Yeah, I mentioned Kevin Durant is one. I would definitely play Kevin Durant in my lineups if I was playing. I'll be at the Reds. You'll be at the Reds Cubs game? That's impossible. How are you going to do that? I would love to know how you're going to make it to the Reds and Cubs games tonight. So if you can do that, Jeremiah, let me know how you're doing it. Because you have one game in Atlanta and one game in LA. Oh, Saturday. Oh my God. I just thought it was today. Sorry. Saturday. All right, man. Good luck to that one. That should be a fun one anyway. So great to go to baseball again. It's really, really great. Yeah, my bad, man. I didn't read it at first. As Sheets is building his lineups, I'm going to keep doing this and talking.
Yeah, I am.
I guess I'd say my favorite Padres, since I didn't do that exactly. It's obviously Tatis, but he's popular. I like Myers will be lower owned. Hosmer on FanDuel, Machado. I don't mind Cronenworth on DraftKings probably more than FanDuel. Those are the main guys I'm using. And then obviously if you can get Grisham in, you want to get him in. He had a ball at the game I was at the other night when it was so cold. It was about as hard as I've ever seen the ball hit. And it would carry way up. It was one of the furthest balls I've seen hit in the game at Dodger Stadium because it just doesn't. You don't get him up there. And that guy's got crazy power.
Willard Sampson. I have a question for you, Bobby. if you had to spend 4,400 on DraftKings on a forward that was not Tim Hardaway Jr., what would it be?
Okay, good question. Give me 1 second on that one. I mean, Sumner's 4K, but it's a little price difference. Do you know who I would maybe go back to is if I could? Yeah, it's a forward. You said I would have gone back to Armani Brooks potentially. I mean, maybe I think I would just play Sumner.
This is my problem. My problem is that right now in that spot, I have Juan Toscano Anderson at 3,900, and I have 500 left on the table. So I have room up to 4,400 to replace Juan Toscano Anderson.
Yeah, Blake Griffin's out of the price range barely.
You like Sumner more than Juan Toscano Anderson?
I mean, you get a little bit of edge by playing the later one, but I'm guessing you have Jakar Sampson in your lineup already?
Yeah.
I mean, Sumner is so much more of it. It sucks because it's the first part of the thing, and to play them both together is probably, I won't say not optimal, but like Sumner's going to play a ton of minutes. I think I would say Sumner probably outscored. I mean, then you don't want to get to McDaniels. That leaves like a lot on the table.
Already have McDaniels.
Yeah. Let me see if I find a weird guy I can think of. I can't. Nobody quite right. Oh, okay. Well, I guess you'd have to get news in the next few minutes on this one, but
Who?
Kenrich
Williams?
Yeah. But I don't think so.
Well, what news are we trying to accomplish here?
Well, I was saying like seeing who's in their starting lineup or if anybody's sitting because they tend to announce that.
Who's OKC?
OKC always announces.
They have a starting lineup out.
Is Kenrich in it?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, then I definitely wouldn't play Kenrich.
It's Maladon, Dort, Baisley, Moses Brown, and Puka.
I don't know what this means.
The other thing I could do is I could go up from McDaniels to a 4,100 power forward. But I don't know who that would be.
Well, Toscano Anderson.
Right, but I have him already.
Right. But no, but then you play Sumner.
So I can play Sumner instead of McDaniels, basically. That makes sense.
Again, I prefer McDaniels overall to some. Well, actually, it's really close. It's such a good matchup to do all the other things that I feel like Sumner can probably get there.
But what if you have Brogdon also, though?
The one thing that worries me about Sumner, here's the one thing that worries me about Sumner. Like, even in these games where he's getting all these minutes, and one of them without Jakar even, actually maybe two of them without Jakar. Like, he was 7 for 8, took 8 free throws, which is very unlike him. He doesn't take a lot of free throws. The other one, he made 4 out of 5 threes and still got there pretty nicely. But, yeah, I mean, I think Sumner probably outscores more often than Jalen McDaniels does, but I actually think if I was playing, I would play McDaniels over him. It's just hard when you factor the pricing thing in. But you could do that. That would accomplish getting both of those guys in and not leaving much on the table. But I don't know that that's necessarily the best rather than just leaving 400 on the table.
Right. Let me just see. I'll trust my numbers here. Let me see what this says.
They're going to love Sumner.
Let me just find.
It wasn't Horford's decision. I agree, but BBF. I understand it's crazy, but it's the team's decision, really. Can we get a Dodgers starting lineup, please? Come on. I can just feel all my Rayleighs having to change.
Not cool. Thank God for that. Well, actually, what is Sampson? Is he a forward? You know what I could do? I can move up from Juan Toscano Anderson to DeAndre Jordan if I want. If I want.
Take a quick look at this.
DeAndre Jordan's like 10%.
I not play that much. Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst. Yeah, it's not the worst thing.
So the swap is going to amount to Juan Toscano Anderson becomes DeAndre Jordan
Instead of Sumner?
instead of Sumner.
Okay. I would do Sumner myself, but I get it. All right, I got it just for 1 second. Sorry.
Yeah, they're very close for me. Sumner. Play Cody Martin. Play Cody Martin. Play Bobby. You know, I could play Cody Martin.
I don't understand why you're trying to go over. Is your lineup like super chalky? You just really don't want Sumner?
No, that's fine. You think Sumner just scores more points than well, what if I have Brogdon also? I mean,
Cody Martin didn't just have like the game of his life.
No, but I mean, can you play Sumner with like Brogdon?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think they both just like put up huge games and they have the best matchup on the slate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 35-31. Yeah, that's going to be good enough. Okay.
Also, but that's all right. I mean,
all right. So it's going to be Sumner instead of Toscano Anderson. All right, I'm in.
Timothy, I couldn't find anybody to go on the OKC side tonight.
Yeah, you go Dort if you do it.
Wait, what is Melo's price? He's saying go with Melo.
And meanwhile, you want to hear something funny? So we talked about this the other day when I was saying, "Oh, if Dort's in, he's the only guy," and you're like, "Dude, I'm into this." You and your 2% Lou Dort. Lou Dort was like 70% owned that night.
Oh no, but on DraftKings he was 2%. Like
he was literally 60%.
That's totally a different conversation.
I know.
Yeah, I actually think Carmelo's viable. Like, but you got to worry a little bit about the minutes with what the rotation they're running right now. That's the only problem. I'd rather take a shot with the minutes. Minutes equal money.
All right. So this is the compromise I made with myself is that I ended up playing a decent amount of Smart and Brown, but nothing big. How about that? Like all the tournaments that matter, I faded them all. I think.
So there you go.
We'll see what happens. Oh, this is such a great lineup.
I wish you I love it. Exciting.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, so I think good luck to everybody, right?
Luka's going to get ruled out. Is that the story? Is that really what's going to happen?
I'm not saying he's going to.
I'm just looking at this. I mean, are there fans allowed at Golden State yet?
I believe, yeah.
They're going to really scratch Luka in his matchup with Curry. I mean,
it doesn't mean anything. I mean, is that game? What's Tuesday? So it should be national televised. I mean, he should play it.
Yeah.
What is going on? Hear that? Is that an earthquake?
I don't know.
I
got a little bit of the Brissett.
Yeah, I like Brissett.
And yeah, all right. Anything else, guys?
I think that's it.
I think all right. All right, Timothy. Let's take it down.
Take it down, everybody. Good luck out there.
Good luck, everybody.